Welcome back to High Magick Practices. In today's episode, we will continue the self-initiation ceremony into the Neophyte grade of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. In this installment, we move forward to the powerful act of initiation, where you will purify and consecrate yourself in the presence of the Godforms. This follows the opening act we explored in the previous episode, setting the foundation for your path of inner transformation. If you're passionate about the great work and seeking the light, be sure to like, subscribe, and share this episode with fellow seekers. Your journey has just begun, and we'd love for you to become part of our community. To delve deeper into your magical practice, consider joining our Patreon. As a member, you'll gain access to exclusive articles, rituals, and pathworking meditations designed to guide and empower your spiritual journey. Before we begin, we ask you to exercise some patience with us during this episode, as it will be longer than usual. The initiation act is a crucial part of the Neophyte grade, and we've chosen to keep it as one complete piece so you can refer back to it whenever you need. This way you'll have everything in one place as you continue your magical journey. For this second part of the Neophyte grade ceremony, called the initiation, you will need your magical name, called Matto, implements like the censer, the cup of water, the caduceus wand, the violet lamp, the Neophyte sash, the black cord, and the hoodwink folded around your waists. Commence the initiation ritual by removing the rose, red candle, wine-filled cup, and bread and salt from the altar, placing each in their designated quarters of the temple. Imagine all astral officers or deities at their respective posts. Give a single knock. Now, standing west of the altar, say,
"This candidate seeks entrance."
Give a second knock and say,
"I vow that within this mystic sphere I shall henceforth lose my name and be known in this temple as..."
State magical motto.
"I am the inheritor of a dying world arisen and entered into darkness. The mother of darkness has blinded me with her hair. The father of darkness has hidden me under his wings. My limbs are still weary from the wars that were in heaven."
Anubis of the East speaks to you within your mind.
"Unpurified and unconsecrated, you cannot enter our sacred hall."
Proceed clockwise to the northern station of Sterlistays. Envision Auramoouth holding out the chalice of water. She traces the sigil of the cup. Take the cup and put your thumb or index finger into the water. Trace a cross on your forehead, then draw the water triangle on your brow, beginning with the lower point of the triangle. Then say,
"I am purified with water."
Return the cup. Move clockwise to the southern station of Daduhos. Imagine Tom Neith presenting the censer to you. She traces the sigil of the cross potent. Take the censer and trace a cross before your forehead. Then trace the fire triangle starting from the top point of the triangle and say,
"I am consecrated with fire."
Return the censer. Now proceed to the west of the altar, facing east. Envision the goddess Tame manifesting at your right side. At the same time, picture the god form of Osiris in the east. Mentally hear him inquire,
"Heir to a dying world, why do you seek to enter our sacred hall?"
Then you reply to Osiris,
"My soul wanders in darkness, seeking the light of hidden knowledge. I believe that in this sacred temple of the mysteries, understanding of that light may be obtained. I am truly willing to take a solemn obligation in the presence of this assembly to uphold the sacred mysteries and the current of the light. I understand that there is nothing contrary to my civil, moral, or religious duties in this obligation. While the magical virtues can briefly stir life in wicked or foolish hearts, They cannot reign in any heart that does not possess the natural virtues as their throne.
Osiris now asks you,
He who is the source of the spirit of man and of all things came not to break, but to fulfill the law. Are you prepared to take this oath?
you reply to him,
I am ready to take this oath.
kneel and place your right hand on the cross and triangle atop the altar. Visualize the astral forms of the 6 primary officers' Godforms gathering around you, forming a hexagram. The Igumon is already at your right side. The past Hierophant, or Hierophades, embodying Horus the Elder, moves from the east, pinning a black serpent beneath his foot as he reaches the altar's eastern side. The Ares appears to your left, while Stolis, Taze, Kirix, and Dadu stand behind you. The Hierophades, now in the Godform of Horweir, grasps your left hand. At this stage of the ritual, you become aware that the hall feels much more crowded with Godforms than before entities you can barely perceive. In the east, the gigantic form of Thoth Yehuti remains in the sign of the Enterer. Winged cherubic deities mark the 4 cardinal points of the temple, while additional Egyptian figures stand at the subquarters. However, what you notice most are the 42 silent figures lining the temple walls. Yet your attention is drawn to the 4 colored candles marking the boundaries of your temple circle. In their place you now see 4 towering pillars of fire and cloud. The pillar to your right and the one before you are twin pillars of light. The pillar to your left and the one behind you are the twin pillars of darkness. After a moment, proclaim your oath.
I, legal name, in the presence of the Lord of the universe, who works in silence, and whom only silence can express, and in this hall of the neophytes of the current of the Golden Dawn, do of my own free will, hereby and now most solemnly promise by and on this holy symbol of the light, to dedicate my life to the pursuit of the mysteries of the Golden Dawn tradition of magic and to the completion of the great work. I solemnly promise to persevere with courage and determination in the labors of the divine science, just as I shall persevere with courage and determination through this ceremony, which is their image. From this day forward, I pledge to strive with enthusiasm and devotion in the study of the Hermetic arts, knowing that such teachings are not given to those who seek only superficial knowledge. I undertake to maintain a kind and benevolent relationship with all true seekers of the light. I will respect all religions, knowing that each faith contains a ray of the ineffable light which I seek. I pledge that I will not allow myself to be placed in a state of passivity, where any person, power, or being may cause me to lose control of my words, thoughts, or actions. I vow that I will not degrade my mystical knowledge by practicing evil magic at any time, nor under any temptation. I solemnly promise not to boast or show off any knowledge I may acquire to those who are not seekers of the light, to prevent our sacred knowledge from being profaned by my error, vanity, or neglect. I swear upon this holy symbol to observe all these things without evasion, equivocation, or mental reservation. Furthermore, if I break this magical obligation, I willingly submit myself to a punitive stream of power set in motion by the divine guardians of this current, who live in the light of their perfect justice, and before whom my soul now stands.
Hierophades, Igumon, and Res Officer Godforms whisper.
They journey upon the wings, they strike where none strikes, they slay where none slays.
Now say the following while visualizing the sword of the Res on the nape of your neck.
And as I bow my neck under the sword of the Yerez, so do I commit myself unto their hands for vengeance or reward. So help me, my mighty and secret soul, and the creator of my soul, who works in silence, and whom naught but silence can express.
Then give a knock. The Godforms whisper.
Rise, Neophyte of the zero, equals zero grade of the Golden Dawn.
Imagine the officer Godforms returning to their stations. In the east, the towering figure of Thoth gives the sign of silence. Take up the cup of water and the censer. Tame takes your hand and leads you to the north-facing east. Anubis comes forward with wand and violet lamp to the northeast. Now say the words.
The voice of my undying and secret soul said to me, let me enter the path of darkness, and perhaps there I shall find the light. I am the only being in an abyss of darkness. From an abyss of darkness I came forth before my birth, from the silence of primal sleep. And the voice of ages answered my soul, I am he who formulates in darkness the light that shines in darkness, yet the darkness does not comprehend it. Let the mystical circumambulation take place on the path of knowledge that leads to the light, with the lamp of hidden knowledge to guide me.
Visualize the Kyrix and the Egemon leading you clockwise around the temple. As you pass the Hierophades for the first time in the east, imagine a loud knock and mentally intone the name Bina.
Bina.
As you pass the Yerez in the west, you also hear a loud knock. The second time you pass the Hierophades in the east, imagine another loud knock and mentally intone the name Hama. Upon reaching the south, the Kyrix stops you. Anubis then speaks to you.
Unpurified and unconsecrated, you cannot enter the path of the west.
Auramoouth steps forward and draws the sigil of the cup before you. With the water, you mark your forehead with the symbols of the cross and the water triangle, as before, and say,
I am purified with water.
Tom Eshneid comes forward and traces the sigil of the cross potent before you. Now wave the censer in front of your forehead in the figures of the cross and the fire triangle. Then say the words,
I am consecrated with fire.
Tame says to you,
Child of earth, twice purified and twice consecrated, you may now approach the gateway of the west.
Go to the west, where the imposing figure of the Yerez awaits. The fiery-eyed Horus, bearing a red sword and a black banner, blocks your path.
You cannot pass by me, says the Guardian of the West, unless you can tell me my name.
You reply to the Yerez.
Darkness is your name, O great one of the paths of the shades. Before all things are chaos and darkness, and the gates of the land of night. You are the one whose name is darkness. You are the exorcist amidst the exorcism. I stand before you without trepidation, because fear is failure, and I am without fear.
Horus speaks to you.
You have known me now, so pass on. Fear is truly failure, and those who tremble at the flame, the flood, and the shadows of the air have no part in God.
Give a knock. Visualize the Kyrix and the Egumen continuing to lead you in the procession. As you pass the Yerez in the west, imagine a loud knock. When you pass the Hierophades, another knock is heard, and you mentally intone the name Keta. Upon reaching the north, the Kyrix stops you again. Anubis says to you,
Unpurified and unconsecrated, you cannot enter the path of the east.
Auramoouth comes forward and traces the symbol of the cup in the air before you. Then, with the water, mark your forehead with the symbols of the cross and the water triangle as before, and say,
I am purified with water.
Tom Neith steps forward and draws the symbol of the crosspoint in the air before you. Next, you wave the censer in front of your forehead in the figures of the cross and the fire triangle. Then say these words,
I am consecrated with fire.
Tom speaks to you.
Child of earth, thrice purified and thrice consecrated, you may now approach the gateway of the east.
Proceed to the east where the Neophyte stands. The great god Osiris, bearing a crown-headed wand and a white banner, blocks your path.
You cannot pass by me, says the guardian of the east, unless you can tell me my name.
Then say to Osiris,
Light dawning in darkness is your name, the light of a golden day. After the formless and the void and the darkness comes the knowledge of the light. You are that light which arises in darkness. You are the exorcist amidst the exorcism. Unbalanced power is the decline of life. Unbalanced mercy is weakness and the fading out of the will. Unbalanced severity is cruelty and the emptiness of mind. You are the wielder of the forces of balance.
Osiris says to you,
You have known me now, so pass on to the cubical altar of the universe.
Return the cup and the censer to their stations in the north and south. Ter may guide you to the west of the altar, facing east. She stands on your right side. The Yeres comes to your left side. The Stodes, Tes, Kyrix, and Daduos form a triangle behind you. The Neophyte descends from the east in the godform of Hor, where Horus the Elder. He holds the crown-headed wand and the banner of the east. As the godform of Hor advances between the pillars, you say,
Come in the power of the light. Come in the light of wisdom. Come in the mercy of the light. The light has healing in its wings.
Kneel and visualize all the officer godforms doing the same, except the Neophyte. For a moment, close your eyes and visualize before you the godform of Hor Pe Chloroti, the child god of silence, seated upon a white lotus. The Neophyte then gives a knock. Say the following invocation and imagine all the godforms repeating it along with you.
Lord of the universe, the vast and the mighty one, ruler of the light and the darkness, we adore you and invoke you. Look with favor upon this neophyte who now kneels before you. Grant your aid to the higher aspirations of their soul, so that they may prove a true and faithful neophyte. To the glory of your ineffable name. Amen.
Rise and envision the officer godforms doing the same. Visualize the three main officers Neophytes, Resonigimon, crossing their implements over your head. They speak to you.
Inheritor of a dying world, we call you to the living beauty. Wanderer in the wild darkness, we call you to the gentle light. Long have you dwelt in darkness. Quit the night and seek the day. We receive you into the current of the golden dawn.
Then you say,
Cabs, Pect, Conks, Om, Pax, Light, Extension.
Imagine a white light gathering and taking the shape of a triangle above your head. The officers put down their implements. Then you say these words.
In all my wandering, the lamp of the Kyrix went before me, though it was not seen by my eyes. It is the symbol of the light of the hidden knowledge.
Tame guides you to the east of the altar, where you envision yourself stepping on a black serpent, representing your own evil and unbalanced aspects. Ptah may stays outside the white pillar, the astral form of Horus comes forward between the pillars to teach you the step, signs, grip, and words of a neophyte. Guided by the Godform, you take a step by moving your left foot forward a short distance, as if entering a doorway. Then give the first or saluting sign, the projection sign, which symbolizes your condition in a state of darkness. Perform the sign of silence by placing your left forefinger on your lip in the manner of Arpocrates. Remember that the first sign is always followed by the second. Exchange the grip or token with the officer Godform by stepping forward with your left foot to touch his toe and heel. Reach out your hand to grasp his. Then try again, managing to touch only the fingers, symbolizing your search for guidance in darkness. Whisper the grand word to the astral officer, mouth to ear, exchanging the syllables referring to the Egyptian god of silence. Horus then positions you between the pillars. He stands on the outside of the black pillar. You extend your hands to touch the columns. After a moment you say,
"Let the final consecration take place."
Go, the station of the sturdy stays in the north. Auramoouth retraces the sigil of the cup in front of you. Pick up the cup of water. Return sunwise to the east of the temple and trace a cross in the air with the implement. Sprinkle water 3 times towards the east in the form of the invoking water triangle. Proceed clockwise around the temple and repeat this in all 4 quarters. Upon returning to the east, step between the pillars and face east. Dip into the water and mark your forehead with the cross and water triangle. Raise the cup high and say,
"I am purified with water."
Return the cup to the north. Walk clockwise to the south, the station of Daduhos. Tom Eshne'id traces the sigil of the cross potent before you. Take up the censer and walk to the east. With the censer, trace in the air the symbol of the cross and the invoking fire triangle. Repeat this in all 4 quarters. Upon returning to the east, step between the pillars and face east. In front of your forehead, trace with the censer the symbols of the cross and the fire triangle. Rise the censer high and say,
"I am consecrated with fire."
Return the censer to the south. Stand once more between the pillars. Envision the 4 pillars surrounding you again, but this time they are vividly seen and strongly felt. Remove the hoodwink that was previously folded around your waist before first act of the self-initiation ceremony, called the opening. Now take off the black cord and set both the hoodwink and the cord aside. Now you say,
"The last remaining symbols of the path of darkness are removed."
Take the Neophyte sash and place it over your left shoulder. Say the words,
"In and by the actions of my higher and divine self, I hereby invest myself with the badge of this degree. It symbolizes light dawning in darkness. Let the mystic circumambulation take place on the pathway of light."
Imagine all the astral officer Godforms except the Neophyte, who stands holding the wand and banner, lining up in the northeast. The Auramoouth leads you behind the black pillar to join the procession. Following the Kyrics, the circumambulation commences. All salute with the signs when passing the banner of the east. As you pass the station of the Neophytes, visualize a red cross forming above your head, over the white triangle on your brow. The Ares leaves the procession after 1 pass of the east, and the Auramoouth leaves after 2 passes. You and the visualized forms of the others follow the Kyrics for 3rd pass. All the astral officers then return to their places. At this point, return the rose, red candle, cup of wine and bread and salt to the top of the altar. Stand to the west of the altar. Once again, visualize the god form of Ho-Pe-Koroti. Repeat the following.
The threefold cord bound around my waist was an image of the threefold bondage of mortality, which among the initiated is called earthy or material inclination. This has confined the once far-wandering soul into a narrow place. The hoodwink was an image of the darkness, ignorance, and mortality that have blinded men and women to the happiness and beauty their eyes once beheld. The double cubical altar at the center of the hall is an emblem of visible nature, or the material universe, which conceals within itself the mysteries of all dimensions, while revealing only its surface to the exterior senses. It is a double cube, because as the emerald tablet states, the things that are below are a reflection of the things that are above. The world of men and women, created in unhappiness, is a reflection of the world of divine beings created in happiness. It is described in the Sefer Yetzirah, the Book of Formation, as an abyss of height, an abyss of depth, an abyss of the east, an abyss of the west, an abyss of the north, and an abyss of the south. The altar is black because, unlike divine beings who unfold in the element of light, the fires of created beings arise from darkness and obscurity. On the altar is a white triangle, symbolizing the image of that immortal light, the triune light, which moved in darkness and formed the world of darkness and out of darkness. There are two contending forces and one that always unites them. These three are mirrored in the threefold flame of our being and in the threefold wave of the sensual world.
Stand in the form of the Tau cross and say,
Glory be to you, Father of the Undying, for your glory flows out, rejoicing to the ends of the earth.
Lower your arms and continue the speech as before.
The red cross above the white triangle is an image of him who was unfolded in the light. At its east, south, west, and north angles are a rose, fire, cup of wine, and bread and salt. These allude to the four elements air, fire, water, and earth. The mystical words Kabzam, Pekt are ancient Egyptian, and are the origin of the Greek konsom pax, which was uttered at the Eleusinian mysteries. A literal translation would be light rushing out in one ray, and they signify the same form of light symbolized by the staff of the Kyrix. East of the double cubical altar of created things are the pillars of Hermes and Solomon. On these are painted certain hieroglyphics from the 17th and 125th chapters of the Book of the Dead. They symbolize the two powers of day and night, love and hate, work and rest, the subtle force of the lodestone, and the eternal outpouring and inpouring of the heart of God. The lamps that burn, though with veiled light, upon their summits show that the pathway to hidden knowledge, unlike the pathway of nature, which is a continual undulation, the winding hither and thither of the serpent is the straight and narrow way between them. It was because of this that I stepped between the pillars to receive the light and to obtain the fourth and final consecration. Two contending forces and one that unites them eternally, two basal angles of the triangle, and one that forms the apex. Such is the origin of creation. It is the triad of life. The throne of the Hierophades at the gate of the east is the place of the guardian of the dawning sun. The throne of the Yer-Res At the gate of the west is the place of the guardian against the multitudes who sleep through the light and awaken at twilight. The throne of the Igman, seated between the columns, is the place of balanced power between the ultimate light and the ultimate darkness. The wand of the Kyrix is the beam of light from hidden wisdom, and his lamp is an emblem of the ever-burning lamp of the guardian of the mysteries. The seat of the Stoles Tays at the gate of the north is the place of the guardian of the cauldron and the well of water of cold and moisture. The seat of the Daduhos at the gate of the south is the place of the guardian of the lake of fire and the burning bush.
Go to the southwest to face the astral figure of Anubis of the east. The god traces the sigil of the caduceus before you. Take up the caduceus wand and the lamp. Walk clockwise to the northeast and say,
"In the name of the Lord of the universe, who works in silence, and whom nothing but silence can express, hear all that I state your magical motto, proclaim to have duly initiated myself into the golden dawn current of magic as a neophyte of the 0=0 grade."
Put the wand and the lamp back in the southwest. Return to the west of the altar. Say,
"I shall remember my obligations to keep this knowledge secret from those who are not seekers of the light, for strength is in silence, and the seed of wisdom is sown in silence and grows in darkness and mystery. I will hold all religions in reverence, for none exists that does not contain a ray from the ineffable light I seek. I will remember the penalty that awaits the breaker of the oath, the mystery I have received, and that the secret of wisdom can only be discerned from the place of balanced powers. I shall study well the great arcanum of the proper equilibrium of severity and mercy, for either unbalanced is not good. Unbalanced severity is cruelty and oppression, unbalanced mercy is weakness, and would permit evil to exist unchecked, thus making itself, as it were, the accomplice of that evil. I shall remember that divine things are not attained by mortals who understand only the body, for only those who are lightly armed can reach the summit. Yod-He Vav-He alone is our light and the bestower of perfect wisdom. No mortal power can do more than bring one to the pathway of that wisdom, which he could, if it pleased him, put into the heart of a child. For as the whole is greater than the part, so we are but sparks from the insupportable light that is in the Godhead. The ends of the earth are swept by the borders of his garment of flame. From him all things proceed, and unto him all things return. Therefore I invoke him. Therefore even the banner of the east falls in adoration before him.
visualize Horus moving around to the east of the altar. Hold out your right hand to him. Imagine that the Godform pricks the tip of your finger with his sword, causing a small drop of blood to appear. Stand in the position of the Tau cross and say,
"If my oath is forgotten and my solemn pledge broken, let the hue of blood remind me that if I fail in this my oath, my blood may be poured out and my body broken. For heavy is the penalty exacted by the guardians of hidden knowledge from those who willfully betray their trust."
And with that, we've reached the end of the initiation. In the next episode, we'll dive into the final act known as the closing. We hope you found value in this episode. Please note we've made minor adjustments to simplify the ceremonial language, but rest assured these changes do not affect the core goals or the impact of the self-initiation. We also hope the visuals helped you appreciate the process and ignited your imagination as you prepare for the initiation ceremony. Remember, If you've been practicing the recommended probation exercises over the past several months, you'll be in the best position to fully benefit from these teachings. Patience and strong intention are key. If you wish to access exclusive content, consider subscribing to our Patreon or Buy Me a Coffee page. You'll find the links in the description below. Thank you for your continued support. Until next time, may the light guide you on your path.